Our Toastmaster this evening, as he has said, as has been introduced many times, and he says to anybody who asks how long he's been a Toastmaster, he has been a Toastmaster since the 1900s. He has achieved many different accolades inside Toastmasters in both leadership and in communication. He is our most experienced Toastmaster of the club, Lawrence Crompton.
We're light over here, don't we? Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. A wonderful opportunity to spend this evening together with you, and I really love the idea of that. So, this evening it looks like we got a full program, which is really, really exciting. So, we are going to have, I will be Toastmaster. For those of you that don't know, the Toastmaster is basically the master of ceremonies, and I will try to make sure that things move along in a comfortable and proper manner. We also have various other roles that people will be taking. One of the roles that will be is the evaluation process. The evaluation process is a very strong educational tool, and Thomas Jester is going to be the general evaluator. If you could explain the evaluation process, please.
As the general evaluator, I will be leading the team of evaluators. I will also be evaluating, did we start on time, overall how were the speeches for the type of topics they were supposed to be on, and how well the other people on the evaluation teams succeeded at their tasks. I will also be leading the evaluation portion of the meeting.
Good, thank you. And one of the parts of the evaluation team will be the timer. Yana, could you explain what the timer does?
I'll be keeping time this evening. For our speeches, we want to hit certain time marks. The first speech is going to be 5 minutes, I'll give the green. 6 minutes, I'll give the yellow. And then 7 minutes, I'll give the red. Second speech, it's going to be green at 4 minutes, yellow at 5 minutes, red at 6 minutes. And then the table topics are going to be a bit shorter. You're going to get the green card at 1 minute, yellow card at minute 30, and then the red card at 2 minutes. And for these speeches, you can go 30 seconds shorter or 30 seconds longer without being disqualified and only facing a minor penalty competition. That's
Very good. Thank you. All right. And another member of the evaluation team will be the grammarian. John, do you have, can you explain what the grammarian does?
Sure. I will be the grammarian for this evening. I will be counting to make sure that we don't say ah or so or use any other filler words which can distract the listeners. We also want to look for proper use of grammar, and we want to also inform you about the word of the day today.
And what is our word of the day?
It is incandescent. So this word means white hot, glowing, or showing intense emotion.
Good.
I feel incandescent when I look at my wife.
Ah. Very good, very good. Well, I hope we have an incandescent meeting, but we're working towards that. Another thing that we will have the opportunity to do is table topics. And Brent, you're going to be doing the table topics. Can you tell us what that's going to be about?
Yes, sir. So the table topic is a twofold objective. The first is to give everyone who is not scheduled to give a speech an opportunity to address the meeting and get up and speak in front of everyone. And secondly, the second objective is give everyone an opportunity to speak in an impromptu situation, and that helps polish your rhetoric and your own on-the-spot thinking. Also helps with your pitch when you're pitching to a client or perhaps in any type of situation. So, and those are 1 minute, 1:30, or 2 minutes.
Okay, between 1 and 2 minutes. Good. Thank you. Thank you. Table topics is my favorite part. All right, let's get right into our educational program. We'll start off this evening with the scheduled speeches. Our first speech is going to be given by one of our a little bit less than the newest members. Mickey has been with us for a couple of months now, and we really enjoy hearing from her. She's given some really wonderful speeches, and this evening she is going to tell us, why am I here? Mickey, why am I here?
Excuse me. Thank you. Thank you. Well, good evening, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. I'm Mickey Seltzer, and this is my second round, if you will, for my icebreaker. And I'll start by saying, why am I here? Meaning, what is my purpose here on the planet? Mahatma Gandhi said the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. And I was born and raised here in Mobile, Alabama. Went to school right across the street, graduated. I moved to the Atlanta area for about 19 years. And so I was working at a bank day, and I taught at night, just part-time as an adjunct. And so I found myself, and I may mention this in my last one, I found myself couldn't wait to pack up my desk and leave and get to my students. And so when I was teaching and instructing, and I said, I kind of like this. And so I did a reevaluation and found that that's what I love. Because they've said if you choose work that you love and that you enjoy, you never work a day in your life. And so from that, I had already had my master's anyway, so I finished and I decided, okay, I want to go back home and begin teaching, which is what I do now. I teach business education at a local high school here, the Mobile County Public School System. But that's what I began to start thinking about. Why am I here? Truly, why was I created? And so they once said that's really how you find your purpose, and are you striving to really be your best self every day. And I feel with my students that I'm working with right now that they give me an opportunity to do that, to strive to be my best self every day, because we think about that sometimes. And I think about time, and I can remember, to be honest with you, kindergarten, Little Flower, just like it was yesterday. I mean, so, and the time goes by so quickly. So when I started teaching my students at night, I had to say, okay, what am I doing to truly change lives? And so I even did some volunteerism with the county, teaching GED. And so there again, that had me go and revisit, why am I truly here? And what is my purpose? Why was I created? And they've said that what you do for others, service to others, is your rent you pay for your room here on earth. And that was Muhammad Ali. He said that. So I know what I'm saying is service themed, and it really changed my life, because I go to work every day, and I'm at a school where it is challenging in a sense, but it's incandescent, if you will, when I go in and I see them actually learning. Because what we're doing now, we're working on their portfolio. They're preparing for the workforce. They're learning how to write a professional resume. They're learning how to prepare a cover letter. And so to see them actually learn and want to soak up that knowledge, it does me well to know that I am not only making a difference for me, but I'm giving back and imparting to others. And that's truly, to me, the purpose of life and why we're actually here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mickey. That was really a very good talk. We can really feel that you are burning inside. They have passion for that. So that incandescence comes out in that particular speech. Our second speech tonight is going to be given by our newest member. He is off and running. He barely even has joined the club, and he's already giving his first speech. So tonight, we're going to be hearing from Lane about who is Lane. So, Lane, who are you?
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, good evening. So tonight, I want to be talking to you about something very serious, very important. Tonight, I want to talk to you about the Arctic polar bear. Okay? So the Arctic polar bear is actually the largest land carnivore on Earth. Okay? As of right now, they are classified as a vulnerable species because of climate change. Their habitat is growing smaller and smaller. Here's a little known fact, but the female polar bears, whenever they give birth, they typically give birth to twin cubs. Now, it's unknown what the male polar bear gives birth to. Nobody knows that yet. But for the females, it's 2 twin cubs for sure. So the diet of the polar bear is pretty simple. It's seals. That's what they eat. So if you think about the Arctic, it's a vast, snowy, frozen lake, pretty much, or ocean, I guess you would say, with few pockets of water. So when a seal comes to breathe, it surfaces in that pocket of water and breathes. Well, the polar bear has a very good sense of smell, and it's typically waiting, smells the seal's breath, runs over there and grabs it, and that's what's for dinner. And so as you can see, these polar bears get pretty good at it. They can tend to weigh a lot, right? Does anybody here know how much a polar bear weighs? Just
1,000 pounds.
About 1,000 pounds? I don't know, just enough to break the ice. So I'm Lane Elmore, and this is my icebreaker speech. I'm sorry it's not going to be as incandescent as a polar bear. I'm going to be talking about myself. So how do you take 32 years and condense that into 4 to 6 minutes? Well, my thoughts are you just hit the highlights. So I'll start at the beginning. I was born in 1985, came into this world as a son, brother, and friend. Had a really unique childhood. I grew up on Dauphin Island, Alabama. Yes, I did go to the Little Red Schoolhouse, if you know where that's at. My brother and I, we rode our bikes to school every day, pretty much, rain or shine. And it was unique growing up on Dauphin Island because there really wasn't a lot to do. It was kind of boring, right? We made a lot of good friends. I remember I always wanted to go fishing a lot. Fishing out on the beach out in front of our house, but I never caught anything. And my guess is it's probably because the massive amounts of sunscreen I was putting on myself. I think the fish could probably smell that. But, growing up on Dauphin Island was unique. I always had a sense of adventure, pirates, treasure, that sort of stuff. And at a young age, I found myself being attracted to collecting things and valuables. I still remember to this day when my grandfather would come visit, he would bring us a silver dollar or an antique coin, right? And so I guess that made an effect on me because that's sort of what I do now. So I'm a money manager and I help people gather assets. That's what I do for a living. But I'm not going to talk about that tonight because that's too easy, right? I'm passionate about that. So I could go on all night about stocks, bonds, asset allocations, you name it, I could do it. But no, I'm not here for that. I'm here because I want a challenge. I want to be able to talk to you about things that I'm not passionate about. Talk to you about polar bears, even though I actually like polar bears. No, I want to talk to you about things that push me outside my comfort zone. But the more that I think about it, and the more that I come to these, I realize that I'm not really here at all for me at all. I'm here for you. What I've found is that I enjoy the stories that I hear. I enjoy the stories of the mystic childhood you had and want to pass that on to your sons. I enjoy hearing about what it is that you might want to bring on your trip to the moon. I also enjoy hearing these stories that make me want to go watch a baseball game, even though I don't like baseball. So I feel privileged to be here. I want to grow. That's why I'm here. But then also, too, so that way I can get to know you a little bit more. So I feel privileged. My name is Lane Elmore. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much, Lane. It's very interesting. I really enjoy the icebreaker speeches because it's good to get to know people. and find out that there's a whole world of different ideas and different thoughts and different experiences. And most of them, the only way I'm ever going to have those experiences is through somebody else. So I really enjoy that. That's one of the wonderful things of Toastmasters, one of the many wonderful things of Toastmasters. But now we get the opportunity to do my favorite thing. We're going to get the opportunity to do table topics, where everybody is going to have the opportunity to think of something and quickly speak about that thing. I will give you one word of advice, just if you can figure out a way to do it. If you get a speech that you don't have a clue, just kind of weave it into something that you know about. Mr. Topic Master this evening is going to be Brent.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. Tonight, our table topics are going to be themed around famous quotes, most of which are from one of my favorite movies, Forrest Gump. So the first one will be one that we're all familiar with. Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. What are you going to get? Any volunteers? Yes, sir.
Will you serve as the grammarian for him?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, Red. Hello, fellow Toastmasters, distinguished guests. My name is John Newry. I'm new to this group here, Hilltoppers, Toastmasters, but I'm thoroughly enjoying every Monday night with y'all. I'm really enjoying the free coffee. It's pretty huge. So I do want to talk about the subject at hand, which is life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. I believe that we make decisions which can be either major or minor decisions in our lives. So I personally have made many decisions, millions of decisions. Which socks to put on in the morning is a decision. So we have to take into consideration how little some decisions are and how some other ones are. I've had decisions that I've made that were life-changing, moving to different states or different parts of the country, settling down and getting married, whether to drive to this state or that state or stay here and lock ourselves in and watch a movie tonight. Decisions are just so life-changing sometimes. And for me personally, I've made 4 or 5 major life-changing decisions. And for me, that chocolate was a very, very sweet chocolate. I've done a lot of things with my life, and I'm very happy that I've eaten some of those chocolates. Other chocolates, they didn't taste so good. But you know what, those chocolates, I know to never pick up that chocolate again. I will never, ever eat that chocolate again. And you know, one of my dad's sayings was, learn from other people's mistakes and don't ever make the same mistake twice. So if the chocolate tastes like poop and you don't eat it again, then you're that much smarter that next time. But the sweet ones, you obviously try and eat those more or less. A lot. So thank you very much, everyone, and I appreciate you giving me time to talk.
Great job, great job, great job. All right, the next quote from our good friend Forrest Gump that we will interpret. He says that there's an awful lot you can tell by a person's shoes. Tell us about your shoes. Oh, yeah. Any volunteers? Yeah? All right.
All right.
Hi, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I'm Christine Lori, and today, while we're talking about shoes, I'm not wearing my best shoes, but I'm wearing my Nike sandals that I stole from my 13-year-old sister. And we got dirt today for our front yard, so we've been doing yard work a lot. So I just threw these on. I had my boots on, so my long socks, and today I wore my slip-on sandals. Very comfortable. And I think that's about it. What was the question about what was your
Tell them
There's an
about
awful lot you can tell about a person's shoes.
Oh, yes, okay, yes, I remember now. So I think a lot of people's shoes can tell you a lot about the person. For example, if someone has very shiny shoes and they're perfect and just mint condition, they probably have a desk job or stay in a courtroom all day, things like that. If you see shoes that are muddy and gross, probably you're being an outdoor worker. And I think a lot of the different shoes, if you really just look down and look at them, you would notice that it does tell a lot about a person. So thank you very much.
One more. All right, we'll get all Forrest Gump here and we'll have a fun one. At 5 years old, everyone dreams of being a doctor or a lawyer, but you dream of being a shoe. Why do you dream of being a shoe? Volunteers? All right.
Oh boy.
Mr. Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests. I choose to be a shoe because, unlike doctors and lawyers, I have to go and do the same thing every day. A shoe is always on an adventure. Whether that be running to save someone's life as a doctor, or helping someone not lose their life to jail, being the shoe of a lawyer, you're always going somewhere with a purpose. No one puts on their shoes when they're just gonna lackadaisically get through the day. I know when I put on my shoes, my kids always ask me where I'm going, because if I've taken the time to put on my shoes, we're leaving the house. I'm barefoot, even in my own backyard, if we're not going and doing something. And so I would choose to be a shoe because it would show that I'm not somebody who's just going to sit there and let life pass me by, but I'm going to engage it and enjoy it. Mr. Topics Master.
That will conclude our tabletop discussion today.
Thank you, Ren. The interesting thing is, I almost was about ready to raise my hand because when I was 5 years old, I was a shoe. Because I have insatiable curiosities, so I was always getting in my parents' way, and they were always saying, "Shoe! Shoe!" Now, for the next educational portion, we are going to do our evaluations, which gives us an opportunity not just to learn the mistakes that we have made in giving our presentations, but also the things that we've done well and the things that have really made us the incandescent speakers that we are. Our general evaluator this evening is also the president of the club, Mr. Thomas Jester.
So I'll introduce our first evaluator this evening. She's been with our club for a couple of weeks now. However, she came to us from the illustrious Downtowners Club that has always achieved great things, and so we're very happy to have her. Our first evaluator this evening is Christine York, who will be evaluating Mickey's speech, "Why Am I Here?"
Here, general evaluator. Oops, sorry. Okay, so I had Mickey's speech today. She spoke, her title was "Why Am I Here?" She had a very clear voice and she's strong and confident in her speech. I'm going to go over a few of the questions they asked me. How well did the audience get to know her? I think I learned that she was very passionate about what she wanted to do in her life, and she chose to be a teacher, and she really enjoys it, and she's very passionate about that. So I understood that from her speech. Also, did the speech reflect preparation? I do believe that she prepared very well for her speech. She had a clear beginning, middle, and end of her speech, so I did enjoy that, and I think she prepared that very well. The only thing that I would probably change or give her advice about would be she was starting to go faster and faster throughout her speech, and I think if she just stopped and paused a little bit, it would help everyone listen better, and then it would help her just slow down a little bit, and then she could drag out time a little bit more and get her thoughts clear, and she could ad-lib if she wanted or whatnot. But other than that, I think it was a very nice speech. Thank you.
Our second evaluator this evening, also evaluating an icebreaker, has been with the club about the same amount of time as Christine, having joined the club only a few weeks ago, and this is his first experience with Toastmasters. We're happy to have him. David Rom will be evaluating Lane's speech, The Icebreaker.
Fellow Toastmasters, David Rom, I'm evaluating Lane's icebreaker. So I thought Lane did a great job. He was very confident. You couldn't tell he was nervous at all. He hooked the audience with some interesting facts about polar bears, a little story just to kind of get everybody engaged, and then sprung an awful joke, which was actually perfect, for the icebreaker to break the tension. I think the audience got to know Lane pretty well. He talked about where he grew up, some family members in his life, brother, grandfather. He talked about what he does for a living and why he joined the club and the purpose for joining. I think he was very prepared for the speech. It seemed very organized. He spoke clearly and audibly, had a definite opening body and conclusion. The opening about the polar bears, the body about himself, and conclusion about why he was privileged to be here. He used notes just very briefly. I didn't notice much of that.
On the back of the polar bear.
Well, that was a great move. So some things that I enjoyed about it. He was just very entertaining. A good mix of childhood, job, and his motivation, and he smiled a lot. He made eye contact, but you got a warm sense from Lane. So great job, Lane.
Thank you.
We'll now move through the shorter but just as important evaluators. We'll begin with our timer. Donna, giving our timer.
Was Mickey. Our target was 5 to 7 minutes, and the speech was 2 minutes and 59 seconds. Our second speaker was Lane. Our target time was 4 to 6 minutes, and time spoke was 4 minutes and 12 seconds. Our table topics were a little shorter. We were aiming for 1 to 2 minutes. John had our first table topic. His time was 1 minute and 36 seconds. Christine had the second one, 1 minute and 1 second, followed by Thomas at 1 minute. The evaluators, for the evaluators, we were shooting for 2 to 3 minutes on the evaluations. Christine came in at 1 minute and 30 seconds, and David came in at 2 minutes.
Okay. Thank you, Anna. Now we'll have our grammarians report from John York.
Okay, everyone. So are we doing the counter and grammarians? Okay. We had some O's. Toastmaster had a couple O's. Grammarian, myself had 2 or 4 now that I just said those 2.
Those don't count because you're actually telling us what we're saying.
Exactly. Topic Master had 3 O's. First speech, Mickey. We had 2 so's, no ahs that I heard of. Just some key things. I thought it was a very good speech, very confident, great eye contact, passionate. A little fast, such as Christine said, but used the word of the day. Overall, great speech. Second speech, Lane. Who is Lane? I had a K, so there's a little something there. 2 ahs, 2 so's, and then you know. Very knowledgeable on the subject of polar bears. I was very impressed. Flowed well, used good examples, and a good conclusion. Speaker 1 was myself. I think I had 2 ahs that I counted. Speaker 2 was Christine as far as the table topics. 2 ahs and a little bit of rambling. Too bad. Speaker 3.
Right, me.
He's just doing his job. He's just doing his job.
She gets no preferential treatment, I promise. Speaker 3, good eye contact. That was Thomas Jester. Flowed. Evaluation 1, Christine had 2 ahs. And I do apologize, Jason, correct? David. David had 4 ahs. So other than that, everybody had a good job. The only people that didn't use the word of the day was myself and Christine. I kind of used it when she asked me in the beginning when I was defining it, but unfortunately my table topic I did not use it. So other than that, I believe everybody did use the word.
I have not used it yet. Consciously, actually. It's going to be used right now. Actually, I would say that this has been an incandescent meeting, one of our best ones yet.
There we go.
So that's where I'm saving it for the overall of the meeting. We did actually start 1 minute late as we were trying to fill roles and trying to fill them. I didn't start it on time, and I apologize to everybody for that. However, we did end, we are proceeding to end on time, it seems. The overall speeches were, I loved them. I really felt like I got to know both Mickey and Lane. And I too thought the beginning with a very elongated joke was a great way to make us all wonder what was going on. Because we all know what the icebreaker is about, who've given it, and it's about introducing yourself. And so the fact that he's talking about polar bears for 30 seconds, I am like engrossed in how is he going to make this about him? I don't know, maybe Lawrence was feeling the same way, but I was in. He had me committed at that point. And so I think that was really great because it was different. And so it was very, very great for that reason. I also liked the table topics for tonight, having the quotes to have to get us to jump off this quote into an actual topic was just neat. I loved the topics that you picked tonight, Ren. So thank you for that. The 2 evaluators, which is the most important part for me to evaluate right now, I like that the evaluators, you could tell, listened to the 2 speeches. They weren't just listening for the answering of the questions, but you actually listened to the actual speech, the actual content, because you both cited stuff from your individual speech. I like that you both were confident and you were very clear on both praise and on the improvement. The one improvement I would say is we try to have what's called a praise sandwich, where you give them praise, you have to say the one thing to improve, and then you give them praise. You guys did great in that you did that mostly. It seems you were a little afraid to give how you can improve, but you did do the sandwich, which is important, and possibly the best thing because it makes you feel good at the end. Because when you feel good, when you're walking away, you're willing to try to improve. When you feel bad, you just walk away and you forget about it. That's what most people do. So you guys did amazing. I'm very happy to have had you 2 on my evaluation team this evening. I will now turn time back over to our Toastmaster.
Seeing as you turned it over, I'm going to turn it back right back up. One thing I would like to mention that I noticed in some of these speeches, one of the things that professional speakers will tell you is good to never leave your speech area empty. And so if you are up here giving a speech, then you wait until whoever is coming up, you greet them and then you leave. So that way it makes it so that there's always continuity. It's not a bad thing. Are we going to do any educational?
Actually, you just did it for me, that's what I was going to talk about tonight.
Huh?
What you just talked about was what I was going to talk about tonight.
Okay, well, good. Well, we'll do that then. We still have time, right? What do we got?
7 minutes.
38?
Yeah.
Okay,
We have no
so
awards.
you got a couple of minutes and we have no awards. So we're going to have an educational overview from our president this evening, Thomas Tester. I will turn the meeting back over to you, and you can turn it back right side up. Should you
So the educational overview for tonight was kind of what Lawrence was bringing up here at the end. He who controls the lectern controls the room. Well, that means that when no one is at the lectern, it gives the appearance as no one is in control. So the lectern is very important to always be occupied. It's actually one of the protocols in a good meeting. At least a meeting that has a leader, a head, and then others. So the way typically you pass off is, instead of just waiting here and then just stepping aside when they get here, is we typically pass off with a handshake, because it gives that visual affirmation of I, who am currently in control, am passing it off to Lawrence. And this handshake, you all visually see this passing take place. That's why I'm trying to, I'm not always good, sometimes I'm right behind the lectern, but I try to pass it off to the side, because it helps with that visual brain, the brain processing the difference. I bring up this visual things because I don't know if everybody realizes how the brain works, but has anybody here walked out of your room, cubicle, whatever you're in, and all of a sudden can't remember why you left? Your brain takes visual clues on setting your memory. And doorways, even if they're just to a cubicle, is a way that your brain sets up a memory line. And so sometimes when you walk out that door, your brain puts everything that you just did and had in your brain in short-term memory and moves on to the next thing, and you can't recall it now. So that's what happens. So having this visual cue is what causes it. And having the visual cue of handing off with a handshake is one of the ways to help those who are making these memories by being in the audience to follow the chain of events. So that's the typical protocol inside Toastmasters. And generally, if you see even, I was actually watching a couple of old presidential speeches when his press secretary comes to the stand, they announce that he's coming in, they hand it off with a handshake to the president, and the president takes the stand. And when he leaves, it's over, and nobody takes the podium or lectern from him because it's over. But they, even at the level of the United States president, it's being passed off from the person who introduced him to him with a handshake. So it's one of those protocols that it's not just Toastmasters who does it, it's the White House that practices it as well. So I'm assuming I'm not going to have to turn the time back over to you, so we can move straight forward.
You won't have to turn it back over. I would like to make one addition to that. If you are leaving the lectern or the podium on the same side that the other person's coming on, go behind them so that they stay in focus while they are coming up to the lectern, rather than coming, shaking their hand and then walking in front of them to get off the stage.
And honestly, if you'd like to see this in practice, literally go and YouTube any past presidential in the press room briefing where the president does it. And you'll see them, that's exactly how they do it every time. And I was not just researching the last president, I wanted to see, it goes all the way at least back to Reagan. All the presidents back to Reagan have all done it that way, so 30 years.
Did you see JFK?
I didn't continue, after 30 years of it having been established as the White House's way of doing business, I assume that this is the White House's way of doing business. So thank you. We don't have any awards for this evening. We are waiting for the pins for all of you new members. And because there are so many of you, we may divide you into groups so that you guys have a chance. Because typically with an award, we give an opportunity to speak. Just a quick 30-second, not a long speech, but a quick speech if you would like. And we want to make it so that y'all don't have that opportunity if you'd like. I will turn the time over to Yu Ying, our Vice President of Education. Next week is that, to take any volunteers for the following week.
Okay.
So this would be October the 9th. If you already know that you're going to be here on the 9th and you would like to volunteer for something, this is your opportunity, because we're not going to get this opportunity next week. That's the reason we're bringing it up this week. David has his hand up. Yu Ying.
Right here. I want to sign up for the icebreaker.
Oh, okay. Oh, today, first, speak, okay?
I'll be topic master. That seems pretty cool.
Okay, table topic, right?
That's right.
That's right.
I mean,
That's
table
just
topic
like
is nicer,
like
right?
2 quick things, bing bang,
Yeah.
you know, 10 minutes, 15 minutes at home.
Yeah.
For those of you who know, we're not going to get a chance to do anything like our regular meeting next
Well-
week. That's why we're doing this week for 2 weeks from now. That's why it's important.
Want to be the second speaker. Second speaker.
There you go.
What's his name?
Rachel Royal.
Rachel, oh, Rachel.
Regal, that's it. I just remembered it was Royal something. I'm trying to remember all the names. It's really, y'all all joined at the same time. I'm
I
terrible.
have
At least you remembered the crown, right?
I remember, actually, that's how I've been trying to associate, like,
Think of the Buick Regal.
No.
that works. I'm a car guy. I've watched almost every episode of Top Gear.
Overview, always
Rachel,
you, right?
what?
Education overview, always you, right?
Not necessarily.
No.
Necessarily.
If somebody was willing, I'm more than happy to let someone else be
Who
the
wants to
education.
be an education overview? Overview.
Can you educate on anything?
You can educate on anything dealing with leadership,
Okay, me.
Or
meeting management, or communication. Those are the three, because those are the 3 areas of Toastmasters. As long as it's in those 3 areas,
that's why we're here.
Toastmaster, who wants to be a Toastmaster?
I'll be the Toastmaster.
Yeah,
I
okay.
haven't been the Toastmaster in months.
Okay. And general evaluator. General evaluator. Okay. Critique, right? And the first evaluator. First evaluator.
I'll be first evaluator.
Okay. So the second one,
I'll do it. Mickey,
Mickey, okay, Mickey.
I could be reserve speaker should you need one.
Okay. About grammarian.
Grammarian.
Oh, you can. She beat you to it, yeah.
Yeah.
You ready, man?
I'll do it.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, so is it Yannick now?
Yes.
So we're still missing a timer.
Yo, it's a Y-A-N.
Y-A-N-N-I-C-K.
Okay.
So the only rule that has to fill this time.
I can be timer.
All right.
That's my line.
Okay.
Alright, perfect. So we're like,
Yep, except 47.
Unless there's something that needs to be brought forward, this meeting is adjourned.